Welcome back to Black Star Dove. Welcome back to my channel. Today's topic of discussion will be a continuation of the Fiance story. I decided if I was going to share the good, I might as well share the bad, and that also includes exposing myself and a part of my past. But as always, if you like what you hear, it's HBO, which is Help a Brother Out, trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. It is a very obtainable goal. I plan on obtaining it. All right, so let's just hop straight into it because this isn't going to be a good video. So I went through the process of how I met my first fiance. I explained how I was 22 and she was 29. Then she turned 30, not that long after. So we had a huge age difference. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to figure out exactly how to put this. I can't say at the time I was a bum because I was in college. So, I mean, like, what do you expect? I was a college kid. But at the time, yes, I was a bum as far as like not having finances and things of that nature. So it did put a heavy strain on her. But our relationship was quite toxic. But I just thought that, I thought that was quote unquote black love. Man, we had so many fights, man, so many instances. I just pick off a few of the big ones, and I'll tell the most major one towards the end. Like one time we went to Cedar Point. Cedar Point is one of the largest outdoor amusement parks in the country. And it's right, well, it's near Cleveland. So we went there, and she brought some of my friends with us, and she paid for everybody to get in. And I don't know what, but me and her started arguing and all that stuff, and there was this huge incident. Like me and my friend Bill, we still talk about it. Where she bought me a Subway sandwich, and I took it and I threw it. I was aiming for the trash can, but I was like this close, and I missed the trash can, and I almost threw the whole Subway. And then it was just like we were so toxic because there was always an argument after another. She wanted me to do better, but at the time, I was happy with what I was doing. I didn't understand what she was trying to achieve at that time. Like I said, I was 22, she was 29. So she was already in a part of life where she was like, hey, I would like to get married, like to have kids, I need you to step up. And I was like, hold on, wait, I haven't even graduated college yet and all that stuff. Like, my version of having fun was playing video games with my friends, playing Smash Brothers and all that stuff. So there was that, and we just always had like these huge arguments, these huge blow-offs. And I remember one time. All right, so this is when she was in Lorraine, and I decided to move in with her. I didn't get kicked out of the house or anything like that. I just decided, hey, I want to move in with you. That was a huge mistake. Now, I was living there for a month already before I did the address change. Keep that in mind. So, we had all these arguments and stuff. So the address change finally went through, and I finally got my first piece of mail. Now, 2 days later, after I got that first piece of mail, we had this huge argument where she left me on the side of the road and drove off. Like, she literally left me on the side of the road and drove off. Luckily, some cops gave me a ride back to her apartment. Now, when I arrived to her apartment, I was sitting in the lobby. I guess she called the manager who was living on the first floor, and the manager came and said that I wasn't welcome there, and I had to leave. And I was like, no, I live here. Like, whatever. She said, well, if you don't leave, I'm gonna have to call the cops. So I was like, at the time, I said, you're gonna have to call the cops because I live here. Now, keep in mind about the mail thing, because I didn't know this. So the cops come, and the cops, they assessed the situation, and they said, do you have a piece of mail here? Do you have some clothes? And do you have a toothbrush? Now keep in mind the piece of mail part. Yeah, it's upstairs in the apartment. So the cops forced the landlord to open up the apartment so I could show the cops a piece of mail that's dated within the last 30 days, my toothbrush, and some clothes. So because I waited so long and I finally was able to do the transfer of address, the change of address, I had a piece of mail like 2 days later. So I was able to show them that piece of mail, and I showed them all the rest of the stuff. The cops said at the time, keep in mind when this was, this was 2012. At the time, it was Ohio law that if I had those 3 things, I was considered a resident of that property. And if I were to, quote unquote, get rid of me, they would have to go through the eviction process. So the cops forced the landlord, the management, to let me stay because under Ohio law, I was a resident. So she she ended up coming in like a few hours later. I guess she heard the TV was on because I was watching the TV. So like, I guess like, like one of those things like, hey, who's in my apartment? No one's supposed to be in my apartment. So she opens the door and she cracks it because like at the time it was a studio, so I could see what was going on. And I was like, hey, how you doing? And then she closed the door immediately and took off and ran. She had a second cell phone in the house. And I guess like a few minutes later, like 10 minutes later, she called me on the second cell phone, knowing that I would pick up. And she was like, why are you in the apartment? Did you break into my apartment and all that stuff? So I had to explain to her how I was let in by the cops and how legally I was a resident. So it was so bad at that point, and she didn't want no part of me. She decided to take an eviction. She purposely got evicted to get me out the house, out the apartment. And at that time, I wish I could go back. I just would have left. I would have went back home. But a part of me was like, no, we're gonna make this work. We're gonna make it work. So that's just an example of the toxic relationship that we had. Now, this is where I'm going to really expose myself. Like I already mentioned, like the whole kidnapping incident in the previous video. So if you want to look at that, you can. Long story short, technically I kidnapped her. Like it's not a funny matter, but under technical circumstances, I kidnapped her. But she bit the bullet for me when it came to the police, so that way I didn't get arrested. If that makes sense. Again, that was a long story. I spoke about it in the previous video. I'm not really proud of myself about that. But again, this is just that toxic thing, because at that time, that's all I ever knew when it came to black love, is that, hey, we're gonna make this work, we're gonna make this work, we're gonna make this work. When obviously it wasn't working, so we both should have been gone a long, long time before it even got to that point. All right, so let's mention here. All right, so this is where I'm really gonna expose myself. Being here in Phoenix when I first got here. See, it was my idea to move here, because initially she wanted to go to LA because she wanted to be an actress and get into like the, acting and the modeling and all that stuff. And so it was my idea to move here to Phoenix, but she ended up getting to Phoenix before me. And when she got here, she was like calling me and all that stuff. I was like, hey, because when she got here, she had to go to CAS. CAS is Central Arizona Shelter System and all that stuff. So she had to go there, but she didn't want to go there. So I'm sending her money and all that stuff. And, I'm making sure that she's getting on her feet. Fast forward to when I get here. So I'm like, hey, can you look out for me the same way I looked out for you? She's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And I was like so fucking hurt, because I'm like, at that time I was like, dude, I didn't have to do that shit for you that I did for you. Like, you was the one calling me, because it was like, the time difference and all that stuff. You was the one calling me in the middle of the night crying because you're sleeping in your car. You had no place to go. You had no money for food. And I'm sitting there going to Western Union, sending you money, sending you money. It costed me money to send you money. And then it's just like, I was like, all I ask is, we ain't got to be together. We ain't got to do nothing. All I ask for in return, do that same stuff for me to help me get on my feet as I did for you. So she was like, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, all that stuff. So I sent a text message in anger. So what happened was she used that and she went to the cops. And then I was so this all happened in August 2013. So she went to the cops. I didn't know about it because I didn't have no brushing with the law. Fast forward to April of 2014. I ended up getting pulled over, and then I had a warrant. So the cops was actually really cool. They waited for a friend of mine to come to get my car, so that way they didn't have to tow my car. And they brought me from Phoenix to like this meeting point, pretty much Arizona Mills Mall, to the meeting point for Tempe, and Tempe came and got me because she was in Tempe when she filed the report. So I got detained, and then they released me. But when they released me, they gave a restraining order. Now, I don't know much about restraining orders, things like that. And I'm sorry if I'm being a little bit long-winded. I'm just trying to make sure that I have all the facts and everything that I remember. So keep in mind, remember, she filed this stuff in August of 2013. Now it's April of 2014. This is when I'm getting all this. So they gave me a restraining order, say I couldn't have contact with her for 1 year, all that stuff. Okay, cool. Court dates, whatever. So time goes by, Now it's September of 2014. So it's been over a year since, she went to the cops in August of 2013. So in September, I waited like a month and a day to contact her. So I waited a whole month and a day, and I contacted her, and I was like, hey, last time we talked, we was both heated, and then we had an argument. I'm reaching out to you because I want to say I'm sorry. All that stuff, just trying to be like the bigger person. But apparently by doing that, I was in violation of the restraining order, because the way it was explained to me, they said it's only good for 1 year. So it was filed in August of 2013. I wasn't served until April of 2014. So that means it was a year. But when I contacted her in September of 2014, I was like, it's already been a year. No, it's a year from when you're served, and I didn't know that. So technically, I contacted her when I shouldn't have during that process. And then I got a phone call from a detective and all that stuff, and they let me know what happened. And I said, yeah, and I explained to her exactly what happened and all that stuff. So they ended up giving me an additional charge. So the first charge I had was threatening to intimidate. Okay? And the second charge I had was violation of a protection order. So I pled guilty to both because I didn't want to go through all that stuff. So I pled guilty to both. And I was sentenced to 3 years of probation. And I had to do these domestic violence courses. So so this had to be November. This was November of 2015. Yeah, it was November of 2015 when I pled guilty. So that lets you know how the process went out. So how dragged out it's been. So I forgot how many courses I did, but I did I think 20-something, 30-something courses. of domestic violence with ABC counseling. $25 a course. We got the certificate and all that stuff. Man, that was just like if I can go back, like, it's so weird because people look at me now and they're like, Brandon, why are you so calm? For the most part, I'm trying my best to remain calm and to actually think before I act. I was like, man, because when I went through that, because I had 3 years of probation, right? Once I was done doing the classes, I can go on unsupervised probation. So it took me a whole year to finish up all the classes. So for 1 year, I was on supervised probation, and then the other 2, I was on unsupervised probation. So that means is that I didn't have to check in, I didn't have to do nothing. I just had to make sure that I didn't get into any trouble and everything was fine. So that's why sometimes I don't really gel with what people are saying, because some people say you don't know what it's like to be on probation for years at a time. Like, I was on probation for 3 years. There's you don't know what it's like to come somewhere and have nothing, or to have nothing. Like, I came here with no money in my pockets, and I still was able to succeed. That's why it's hard for me to sympathize with people. Sorry about my voice. Just coming back from Poetic Soul not that long ago. I went there, saw my friend perform. Oh, if you're in the Phoenix area on Wednesdays, downtown Phoenix, you can go to a place called Poetic Soul. It's only like $15 to get in, but it's filled with black people. It's a very nice black experience. I went tonight. It was amazing. But yeah, so I just wanted to expose myself on that process. But now, me and her, we seem to be in a really good space. So, they live and learn. She was very hurt. I was very hurt, and we was both just getting back at each other for the past. So, I take full responsibility for that. Especially because during the relationship, I wasn't the best boyfriend. I was very immature. And like I said, I never cheated or anything like that. It's just that I didn't step up. But at the time, I was only 22, so it is what it is. If you stayed and watched this whole video, thank you. I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure that, hey, I'm not just some Boy Scout or something like that. I have had a past. I have learned from it, and I am a better person. So if anybody watches this, just know that, hey, it's okay, man, because we all go through something. But take care. I love you. Peace.